Hey, Loco sports fans. It is Thursday night. It's November. There's not much else going on. We don't need to talk too much about that USCB women's basketball game tonight. It didn't go so hot. So we're going to do some football tonight. We're going
Oh
to get
yeah.
ready for playoff football tomorrow night. It's Loco Pigskin preview. We've got the first round of the South Carolina High School League playoffs and the semifinals in SCISA. We've got Wes Kerr, Justin Jarrett, Marcus Walsh from WHHI. Max is taking the night off, but he's going to send in his picks tonight. Um, so I'm sure he'll get in the comments or something. I'm sure, but taking the night off tonight. Who is ready for part two of the Battle of the Bluff?
I tell
That
I tell you
is
what,
the highlight.
I
That is the
have
highlight.
I certainly have plans. As I told you guys last week, I've got family in town. Tomorrow's my dad's birthday, so I'm going to be able to track scores and whatnot later on in the evening from here and assist you guys that way before coming on live with you guys. But if I was going to be at a game tomorrow, that would definitely be the one, and I probably wouldn't be the only one. And eventually, I hope it gets to a point where we can do at least one playoff game with
Yeah.
WHHI,
Yeah.
especially a loco on loco matchup with two teams that we already saw. I tell you what, I've been going a little bit back and forth between both teams in this matchup. Obviously, just seeing them 2 weeks ago play each other in a 24-21 game, and then again seeing Bluffton last week in the Big Bridge Bowl that finally was played. And I think I know which way I'm gonna go based off the way certain things look. Obviously, we'll see how Holly looks and how much he
Yeah.
can be effective for Bluffton. But I like May River in this game, despite the fact that they're going to be on. The game is at Bluffton, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Despite the fact that they're
Yes,
going to
it
be
is
on
at
the
them.
road,
Yep.
I think I like May River in this game. I
Yep.
just really think that some of those injuries to Bluffton and I just think too that that game was so
So
explosive
evenly
for
matched. It's
them.
hard
Yes.
to imagine
It's
the same
so
team
evenly
winning
matched.
twice. To me.
Correct. That's
But
another thing too.
but hey, I will say there are a lot of other really good games around the Low Country. I
Oh
might be a little
yeah.
No
biased, but I think
question.
the place to be is going to be at the Nest on Friday night. The Hilton Head Seahawks hosting Crestwood, and what should be a fantastic matchup over on the island. And it might not be a local on local matchup, but I think the Seahawks are going to put on a show
They're going to be pretty
in
good. Yeah.
front of a great atmosphere. Yeah, and we've got some
Yeah,
others
no
as well. In
doubt.
fact, we've got some semifinals in SCISA,
We do.
which are all going to be fantastic games. So
Yep.
trying to get a couple of teams to Charleston Southern next Saturday. We'll see how many can stave off elimination here in this semifinal. I mean, this is really cool, very unique. This is the first time we've ever had this. What really two things. One is to have a loco on loco first
Yeah.
round high school game, which I don't think has ever happened before. But with the
Unheard
new
Incredible.
of.
playoff format, it's possible to happen now. And then the other thing is that we get so many teams in the high school league in the first round, plus the big SCISA semifinals. So we are in for one heck of a Friday night. Buckle your seatbelts, grab the
Hang on,
popcorn.
everybody.
It is
As I
going to
like
be
to say.
one wild around the Low Country.
Yeah. Strap in.
Yeah, so here's the full rundown. In 4A, the aforementioned May River at Bluffton, obviously, and Crestwood at Hilton Head. You've also got Beaufort in as the 16 seed in the lower state, going to Hartsville, number 1 seed. In 3A, Battery Creek goes to Dillon, which would be a tough one for them, top 5 team. In 2A, you've got Woodland at Hampton County and King Street at Whale Branch. In 1A, you've got Scotts Branch at Ridgeland, and we have a final in 1A. Sadly, it was not triumphant like that. Canes hung in early. It was 7-7 midway through the second quarter, but then it got away. 28-7 at halftime. They lose 36-7 to Lakeview, top 5 team. Number 3 actually going in this week. So
Yep.
no shame. Heads high, boys, and wrestling room on Monday. We'll see you in the wrestling room on Monday. Those of you who don't play basketball, but that's the high school league matchups. And then in SCISA 3A semifinals, Hilton Head Christian Academy at Wilson Hall. That's a rematch of last year's state championship game. And in SCISA 1A, you got Dorchester Academy at Thomas Hayward in one semi, Buford Academy at Williamsburg in the other semi. So there's your slate for Friday night, with the Thursday night game already in the books. We are presented by Mickelson Law Firm, the all-star sponsor of Lowco Sports, our original sponsor. They got with us in 2017 and been with us ever since, supporting Lowco Sports and what we do, shining a light on teams and student athletes around the Lowco. So if you have legal needs, you can call on Mickelson Law Firm. They're right in downtown Bluffton. They're our official real estate closing attorney and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, but they can help you with anything legal. They've helped us close on a couple of homes, and luckily haven't had to call them for much else. Let's hope it stays that way. But Mickelson Law Firm, great folks, and supporting what we do. So thanks to them. All right, boys. Where shall we start? Shall we start with the Skeezers? Start with the semifinals?
Well, I think
Let's
actually,
we'll start with the
should we-
Skeezers and make our way to.
okay.
Yeah. I like to
We
build
can
up.
start
to
the big one.
Okay.
I like to build up
Yeah.
to the big ones.
Now there are a lot of big ones, so you can make a case that we could start
Mhm.
either spot. But
Okay, so Jake has a question
yeah,
about what stops SCISA from having lots more teams around the state join, so playoffs are more than 3 games. Almost everyone in SCISA makes the playoffs as is. There just aren't that many teams, dude. Like it's
Yeah.
not that many schools, and there's 4 classifications. So literally in 3A, there's 9 teams, and 8 of them make the playoffs. Remember, Cross was 2-8 with 2 wins against the same team and made the playoffs. And 8-man. There's 5 classifications actually for football, when you include 8-man. So it's not that they're artificially keeping the number low. That's all the teams there are. That's it. So there you go. So we'll start with the SCISA. We'll start with the SCISA semifinals. There's only 3 of them to deal with too, so we'll get them out of the way. And we'll start with Hilton Head Christian Academy, presented by Mickelson Law Firm. They go on the road to Wilson Hall. Coming into the season, it looked like it was kind of 3 teams: Pinewood, Wilson Hall, maybe Hilton Head Christian was on the fringe there. I think we've gotten to the point where we feel like they and Wilson Hall are pretty even. And Pinewood's a step above. But I think this Wilson Hall has not. Their results haven't been super inspiring lately. I think we all felt like Hilton Head Christian looked a lot better last week than they have the previous couple of games. So I really think Hilton Head Christian's going on the road and getting this one. I think they're going to make us go to Charleston again as usual.
I agree. I think that we talked a lot about in the early season through mid-season, even late season, like when I saw them against JP2 talking about HHCA, that there were moments where they didn't put everything together. They had a lot of penalties, self-inflicted wounds, and whatnot. But last week they looked much better, and that team, because of how they're coached, especially with Ron Peduzzi, but don't forget about Matt Smith, John Haupt.
Mhm.
They know that they are going to be a factor, and that they can put their A game out there. And if they do that, and their A+ game, if they do that, they can beat anybody. And it seems like they're getting hot, and they're starting to learn from those mistakes that they've made in portions of even a lot of games so far this year. Seems like they're getting hot at the right time. I'm going to take them for the victory. Even with those inflicted wounds that they've had throughout the year, they're still a really doggone good football team. I'm going to take HHCA over Wilson Hall in this matchup, and get ready for them to move on down the road.
Wes?
I totally agree. Yeah, Hilton Head Christian Academy, we kind of worried about them midway through. I know they lost that one to Pinewood Prep, which is who they could see again if they get the win on Friday. But I think they may have turned the corner. I thought they passed with flying colors in that first game against Florence Christian. I kind of expected it to be close, but Reed McCollum and company were terrific throughout that matchup, and they're rolling right now. They're playing some great football. The defense has stepped up, but it really all starts with McCollum and his abilities to make plays happen. And I'm pumped to see how he does in probably the biggest game that he's played so far. I know he helped win a state championship obviously, but now under center as a starting quarterback, this is a big opportunity for him against a solid Wilson Hall team. So I think he produces well, and I think Hilton Head Christian Academy is able to show a little bit more of what we saw last week, and I think they're trying this game a much better team than Wilson versus Wilson Hall right now. So I think Hilton Head Christian Academy finds a way to get the job done on the road and book their spot in the state championship again next Saturday.
Yeah, so Wilson Hall's 10-1, but again, like there's some just uninspiring results, like 20-17 against Orangeburg Prep, 15-14 overtime win over Florence Christian. They were blown out by Pinewood. 25-14 against John Paul last week, is not super inspiring. So, I think they're a good team. They know how to win. They've won those games, and they do run the ball pretty well, which is a little concerning for HHCA because they haven't been great against the run, although they've certainly been better lately. But and it looks like JP2 mostly attacked them on the ground and had success there. And that's not really HHCA's game, so it'll be interesting. No, they didn't. Oh, the state championship game. Yeah, that'll be very interesting. It'll be very tough. But yeah, I don't know. I think HHCA's got it. I'm gonna say Ian Kelly field goal's the difference. How about that? They got a leg. They got a leg.
He does have a leg.
He might make a 2 or 3 in this game. So yeah, I'll take HHCA close. I don't have Max's pick yet, but I'm gonna go out on a limb.
I have a feeling we know where he's
putting on
going.
the eagle head. I think he's putting on the eagle head.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think we can safely say that. In the 1A semifinals, we have 2 interests. We have first off, Buford Academy goes to Williamsburg Academy. We got a shout out from Bravo Charlie. Go BA Eagles. This is a tough matchup for BA. They eked by last week against Carolina, got a little help. The bad snap in the end zone for a safety ended up being the difference. With that said, Dietrich Schufert is a dog. He's a senior. He does not want to stop playing. I think we're going to see him leave it all on the field, and they're a quality team. But man, that is a long trip, and that is a tough place to play. And that Williamsburg team does it year after year after year. I think it's going to be really tough. I think BA's got to get some turnovers. They got to get some big plays, and they got to, just play their best game of the year, most likely. I'll take Williamsburg, and I hope it's close.
So my reasoning possibly with this game goes back to the fact that the only time that I saw BA was yesterday, with the fact that we had that game that we called in studio, Daniel and I, yesterday against THA. Obviously, the game was played on November 1st.
Yeah.
And going back a couple of weeks.
Machine.
Yeah, going back a couple of weeks. Actually, I want to say real quick, I interviewed our community leader for that game. So for the first time in my career, I actually got to use the line, I'm going to send it back to myself as we get ready for the fourth quarter.
That's hilarious. Who was your community leader for that one?
Bowl. We chose Dustin Owsley of the Hilton Head Choral Society and the Symphony Orchestra Chorus. He also, as I told you guys, he also is the JV girls volleyball coach at Colleton County. He's coached tennis as well, and is the choir director over at Colleton County. He's been in the area for a few years now, and just a terrific guy. And being that I've sung with him for the last few years, I was a little bit biased, but I wanted to give him a little bit of extra exposure, and it turned out great. So I saw BA for the first time yesterday, obviously knowing that there were a couple of guys that were banged up that left the game against THA. And with that game, me seeing that game for the first time, BA they went up against a great team in THA, no doubt. but they couldn't make the real big plays when they needed to, which we've seen a lot with some of these other teams. They are so talented and definitely worthy of this situation being where they are. As much as I want to take BA because of all the guys and be the homer with the homer pick, I think I'm going to have to go Williamsburg on this one because that team that we've talked about for, the last few weeks for sure, and we talk about them all the time. They are a championship contender, and I think they're just going to have a little bit too much for BA to answer for. I unfortunately am going to go Williamsburg in this one and take them to knock off the BA Eagles. But what a team!
So
And
apologetic
what
about
a
it though.
I
Yeah.
know.
With that.
Right, and it's been a
What
good
a
year
team!
for BA. And
Only one team wins their last game.
What a fantastic
Yeah.
year it's been for Dietrich Schufert, and Nick Underwood's been fantastic. He's a guy who's going to have to play well to keep his team with the chance of victory here. I mean, he has been such an explosive back. He's provided a couple of important skill sets for the team. So, you're going to have to feed the ball to him, and hopefully he's able to make some plays. And that's what you got to hope for, because this Williamsburg team, they've lost a couple guys that you might remember, like Carnal Boulder and some others from years past of a Williamsburg team that the last 3
I remember a couple little whirling dervishes.
Yeah, but they have another Boulder, Micah Boulder, who has taken over as, I guess, partially quarterback and defensive strong safety. So, I mean, you look at another guy who stepped right in and has been really effective, and you have some explosive backs like Grant Small over there. He's just a sophomore. So, Williamsburg has some dudes, as they have as it seems like they've had always, or at least when they have been in contention, which has been the last few years. So, Williamsburg has a very strong team. Buford Academy is going to have to produce some kind of special effort on the road because this Williamsburg team seems like, as you said, Mark, is a true championship caliber team. BA has they fought hard throughout this year, especially on defense. They've been able to stay in some games, but they weren't able to hold down Thomas Hayward in that matchup where I saw them and couldn't get the stops they needed, or at least enough of them. So the defense is going to have to find something extra, because this Williamsburg team, they'll make you pay if you make mistakes, or and if you miss an opportunity to make a tackle, they're going to make you pay for it. And I'm still not sold on that Buford Academy defense as of this point. I think Williamsburg is the better team on that side of things, and just Buford Academy, I still don't think they have enough in terms of talent wise up front, or just in terms of the skill guys compared to some of the other teams that we've seen in the past around here who have gotten to this point. And also just Williamsburg Academies, that's a really, like I said, very strong team. So many weapons at their disposal, and BA's going to have to show up in a huge way in this one. But I'm going to go Williamsburg Academy, knocking off BA, unfortunately. But do not count out the Eagles entirely, especially when you have a guy like Teacher Schufert, who, that senior mentality could be his last game. You got to leave it all out there. And that's you got Paul, is also a senior, Grady Lamb. So they have guys that, I mean, this is it for them, and they're gonna play to another level on Friday night. So it's always something you got to think about. But
unrelated,
for sure.
Unrelated note, but I just thought of this. You just asked me, JJ, who our community leader was for the THABA game, right?
That's what.
That was not Dustin Owsley. We chose Dustin for the Bridge Bowl. I actually don't know who was selected at the moment for the THABA game because I haven't watched it back. We had Joe Keith out there and Matt Golden from BCTV doing the interviews and all of the stuff there on location, while the rest of us were at the Bluffton Bowl Part 1.
Okay. Well, I was just
so
curious.
I don't happen to know yet because I haven't watched it back. We were just right. So yeah, that was for the Bridge Bowl, and I happened to watch that today. Back with that, so I don't happen to know at the moment, but no doubt it was
Britney Spears
somebody
have to do
great
with
for
this.
BA.
Things going
Britney
off the
Spears
rails.
reference. Um,
I should
and
know this because
then
I grew up in the I grew up in the early 2000s, so I should know this reference, but I do not. So
churn and butter. It's just that dance. She's just celebrating because you went non-homer. Um,
Williamsburg,
I guess.
the cat.
But so here we go. Max
Mhm.
takes Hilton Head Christian Academy over Wilson Hall. He takes Williamsburg over BA. So we're caught up. I have the rest of his picks. So who, if Williamsburg does advance, by the way, Jessica Lynn Chapman was the community
Lynn
leader
Chapman,
for
the
the
community
BA
leader.
game. Bravo,
Okay.
Charlie.
Awesome.
Proud hubby, letting us know.
There you go. Awesome.
Oh, Boston kids, SNL.
Boston. Okay.
Yeah. West
Right.
Coast Williamsburg. Oh, okay, I got you. Not Revere.
Yeah, I
Marblehead, never
wish I
Revere.
got all your pop culture references, but I just
Yeah, I get a lot of them, but that one was a little over my
yeah.
head. It rings a bell now. But anyway, if you were wondering who Thomas Hayward wants, I won't say that he speaks for the entire program, but Jay Alfonso of Jay's Barbershop, he wants Williamsburg. He wants get back. He wants payback at the state championship game over that loss earlier in the season. So,
By the way, we're gonna have to
so in
find a
the
way to
other
get out to Jay's
semi,
barber shop sometime. Maybe if
yeah,
Haywood wins another game, or if they go all the way, or something, we need to
do
have another
do
show
a
here sometime.
championship show
Championship
over there.
celebration or something.
There you go. Maybe we could do it and roll it into basketball season or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, the other semifinal in 1A, THA at home against Dorchester. Dorchester is back from its apparent demise for 2 weeks. They were undefeated and then they dropped a couple in a row and then they came roaring back in a big way last week against Carleton Prep. So I don't know what to make of that weird little blip. Where they lost to Colleton and who else? Williamsburg. Okay,
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they lost two in a row, and then they just turned around and absolutely clobbered Colleton 45-7. This is a tough team, and I think they're probably not happy that they have to play Thomas Hayward this week. They probably, I don't know. We don't want Williamsburg either. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be as easy for Thomas Hayward as some people might think it will be. I think Dorchester is the kind of team that won't get run over by them. They're physical, they're tough. They're going to stand in and fight with them. But I think being at home
But this,
and I think Tony is the best player on the field, and I think that's the difference. If he has to go both ways, he will, and he'll make an impact both ways. And so I'll take Hayward by like 13, something like that.
I'm thinking you're right on that, Justin. I'm gonna go Hayward as well. Again, saw them against BA yesterday from the game that was played a couple of weeks back, and they just impressed me game in, game out. That was the second time that I got to see Thomas Hayward because I went and covered the JP2 game for you guys in preparation, so I knew a little bit about what THA looked like, and they just are explosive. And as much as we talk about Tony O'Banner, they've got some other guys too.
For
Bogus
sure.
at quarterback, and then Colton
Yeah, he's
Young.
throwing dimes.
And I tell you what,
The
I mean,
Robinson
Gibson is
twins,
everywhere. The
Gibbs,
Robinson twins were
Bo
everywhere. This
Pinkney's a
team,
hammer.
Bo Pinkney and Dodge Peoples got hurt at the end or in the fourth quarter of that BA game. I figure that he's back and all good. Um, but yeah, this team is loaded. They have
Yeah, I'm
not
pretty sure he played
missed
last
a
week.
beat. Uh, they've had their coaching changes over the last couple of years, ever since Nick Schuford left. McGeary did a great job last year, and then obviously Taylor Malfris coming in and doing a great job this year. I'm gonna go THA, and I'll take them by 16. I think that they're gonna find a way to get the job done. It might be a little bit close there at the beginning, but I think they'll be able to back it or pull away a little bit there in the second half. and they just really have top to bottom a well-oiled machine. I'm taking THA for the win to get back to the state championship.
Yeah, Dodge did play. He had 8 tackles and helped anchor that offensive line as usual. He's grown man. He
Yeah,
ain't missing no football game
yeah.
over a little injury.
She, he is a
Wes,
grown
you on the
man.
Rebs?
No. Well, this is going to, like you both said, this is going to be a tremendous game. Dorchester, they're a strong, well-coached team. We've seen them upset some top squads before in 1A, and they've had some blips throughout, but they're the type of a team that can give you some fits in the playoffs, and they're really got a strong nucleus, and they play such a hard. It's just really hard to kind of continue to hold them down, and just a really strong physical team, and they have an opportunity to wear Thomas Hayward down. But I'll tell you what, I've made a mistake before. I am not picking against Tonio Banner, especially in a playoff game. Best player on the field means something, not always, but at SCISA, when you have that game-breaking player, which you rarely see Antonio Banner, that is something that can put you at the top. But do not forget about some other guys on this team, Josh Gibson, among others, because it's not just Tonio Banner anymore. They threw the ball really well as the season went along down the stretch, and they were making some plays through the air. So and don't forget about the passing game, which has really come along for Thomas Hayward very recently. So they're more than just a run-heavy team or a one-dimensional team. Bodges is filled in really well. Antonio Manners plays in quarterback. In addition to that, but they've got some guys who catch the football, like Josh Gibson, like McLemore, like Fripp. There's this offense is evolving, and it's going to be tough to stop. So I think, and then when you have another guy out there who can beat you, you got Tony Banner. It's just really hard to defend, and I'm not sure Dorchester County is going to find the opportunity to stop him every time. They're going to have to get some stops, and Thomas Hayward's defense has really rose to the challenge as well. So even though this is far from easy from Thomas Hayward, they're just playing at a completely different level compared to most teams in the state, and I'm going to pick this Rebels team to hold off Dorchester in about a 10 to 12 point margin. I think it'll be fairly close, but Hayward just has a little bit more.
Yep. Bogus has been terrific, by the way. He's 30 for 40 for 505 with 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. That's
Good
really solid. Just really solid, and just a sophomore. So they got him for a while. O'Banner is up to 1542 rushing and 22 touchdowns this season. I'm about to look up his career. I wonder how many rushing yards he's got. Oh, they don't have them all in here. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Oh, you wanna play Price is Right style on how many rushing yards Tony O'Banner has in his career?
Oh God.
You wanna take a pick at the first number in the total? Or you want me to tell you the first? All right, how about this? The last number's a 4. There's 4 digits.
I'm gonna say four numbers. I'll say 9,500.
No.
What?
He doesn't have that many. He has 5,454 career rushing yards.
Okay.
5,454. He's
got
only
a
a junior, and he's got almost 5,500 rushing yards. He had 848 as an 8th grader, 695 as a freshman, 2369 last year, and 1542 this year.
Okay, there we go.
Wow.
Almost 6,000
Goodness gracious.
rushing yards. That's bananas.
So he started in 8th grade is when he started playing.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it yesterday, Daniel Court and I. I wasn't sure if maybe he even started when he was in 7th grade. So
oh yeah, he'll go over 7,000 before it's all said and done if he stays healthy. That's wild.
So he started playing for THA in 20. Do I have that right? 21?
21.
21, 22.
I
23,
just had it.
24.
Yeah, 24, 23, 22, 21. Yeah, 21 was his first year.
Seemed like he wow. Seemed like he's been playing longer than that. We've said that a lot over the last couple of weeks about
Well,
a
the
bunch of
last
these
4
guys.
years have lasted about 12 years. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, that could be. Wow.
Yeah.
Because it
Unreal.
does. I don't know. No, he wasn't pre-COVID. He was only post-COVID. But he's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
He's been around for a minute. All right. Max is
player.
also taking
Max,
CHA.
are you in the comments? Or he just does it as picks over here?
What he sent me
I
his
guess
picks.
All right. Sure.
So there we go. All right. So anyway, back to our show. Yes, the last 4 years have lasted about 12 years, at least.
No doubt
At
about
least
that.
12 years. At least. All right, where are we? We're back to it. We're done with the SCHISA. So let's shout out some sponsors. The MVP sponsors of Lowco Sports. We got Base Hit Life, our baseball and softball apparel sponsor. They've got cool T-shirts, hats, hoodies, all kinds of other cool stuff, and you can check them out at basehitlife.com and get outfitted. Put that ish on and live your best base hit life. Homegrown home inspections. Our home inspectors, our favorite, best in the Lowco. They do the home standard home inspection when you're buying a new home, but they'll also do a phased inspection when you're building a new home and check on it every step of the way to make sure it's built right with homegrown home inspections. Hospice Care of the Low Country provides palliative care, hospice care, free grief counseling, and much more. And they are not for profit right here in Southern Beaufort County. Hospice Care of the Low Country, where it's not about dying, it's about living. And the USCB Center for Low Country Hospitality Education. Check out their whatchamacallit, Bluffton ambassadors and Island ambassadors. I just got a text and got distracted, lost my train of thought. USCB Center for Low Country Hospitality Education. They've got their great ambassador programs to learn more about the place you live and the history and culture and how you can be a better part and a better ambassador for the Lowco. So that's our MVP sponsors. I got a text from noting that Tony has been at Thomas Hayward since he was in elementary school, which I was aware of. He's been brought up there. So yeah, he's had a heck of a year, man. Heck of a year. All right. Now we can move on to the high school league games. As you can tell, I am fading fast. It's been a long night, long day.
Yep.
Also, my
Tough
eyes are
one for
acting up.
the
Cat's
lady,
got me.
the scene shirts. Yep.
Yeah, it was.
It
was really, really rough. The Allen team's pretty tough though. Olivia
They got some
Gaines,
ballers on that team.
Olivia Gaines, who used to be, she was at Salkehatchie for a few years and had a lot of success, and then went to
That's
a
right,
new
remember that name.
program. She went to a JUCO program up in Virginia that was a first-year program and finished national runner-up. And then she got a assistant job at Georgia Southern and was there for a year, and then got this head job at Allen, and has brought in she's overhauled that roster, and they got after it. USCB wasn't quite ready for the speed of the game and the intensity early on, and then they just couldn't dig out. They're hamstrung by injuries at guard, but it was a tough night for them. Tough night for McCain's, 36-7. They fought, but they're done. And Kevin's on one tonight. But the Canes fought. They lost 36-7 at Lakeview. So in the other 1A matchup that we have interest in, we got Scotts Branch at Ridgeland. Ridgeland has had a pretty good season, but they did get a couple of forfeits. So, like there's a little bit of unknown about them still. Like a couple of games that you would have expected them to win, they didn't get to play. And so that was kind of weird. And because you didn't get to see that, they've lost to some good teams: East Clarendon, Whale Branch, Manning. They've beaten who they're supposed to beaten, but not really anybody that they weren't, I would say. This is not a gimme. Scotts Branch is 4-6. They've beaten some not great teams. Actually, they've beaten some pretty bad teams. Okay, they haven't beaten anybody good. Military Magnet's the best team they beat. So I am thinking that I'm taking the Jags at home in this one.
Me too.
Ridgeland's got a really good backfield, really tough. Winston Smith is a dog. They got a good senior class. Xavier Plowden as well. Pete, Devin Fields. I like Ridgeland in this one, and I think maybe decently. Like I think maybe like 3 touchdowns.
I completely concur with everything you just said, JJ. I'm going to take the Jags. They're at home too. Let's go Jags.
Go Jags.
They are. They are indeed. Yeah, that's always nice to be able to start off at home.
Had to give you a
Okay, was
little
that your
Jaguar route.
impression?
Yeah, that was my Jaguar
Hey,
growl.
I just know I was there. The PA. I don't know if the PA guy still does it. Is there? But when he was going off on the Jag impression.
The very
anytime
best.
They moved the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a good one.
Yeah. No, but what a special treat for Ridgeland to get this opportunity to host. And as you said, very underrated Ridgeland squad. I don't know if I said Ridgeland Hardyville or not, but just to have it. But Ridgeland, the Jaguars, just a tremendous year, finishing where they did in the region second, and that's a big testament to the continued growth.
First round, bro.
Once.
First round. Yes, we'll see bigger
Yeah,
spreads than
yeah.
that tomorrow.
But yeah, love what Ridgeland has done this year, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them put together a special showing out there on Friday night. Plowden has been a dude. Smith as well, carrying the football. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. So they got some guys who can handle the football. Plowden is a two-way star. He is just an animal defensively. We've mentioned him a lot in the past.
That defense is salty too. That defense is salty.
Yeah,
bless you.
Very, very salty. Yes, very salty. Yeah, tenacious defense, and they're coming into this ball game. Yes. But yeah, I mean,
No
coming
doubt
off the
about it.
shutout, which they finished up, it was suspended. Yeah, but they've taken care of business for the most part. This region, other than Berdera, that's a really strong team. But yeah, I really love to compete this season, and they got a bunch of guys who can wreak havoc defensively and make it difficult for you to move the football. And I like their chances in this game against Scotts Branch. I think a home playoff win could do wonders for this program, for this school in general. And I think they have a great chance of coming over there at home. Should be a terrific turnout. The bands, I'm sure the cheerleaders, all going to be hyped for this game, and I'm exceptionally pumped to see if Ridge and Hardyville can. I said Ridge and Hardyville. See, it's a habit. I've been around here since I was in school. Ridge and Hardyville were one program, and they were for a while, but now they get to shine their own. Hardyville, a great year. The Jaguars. I'm taking them to win this game.
Salty defenses crush electrolytes,
Kevin is just
and they don't cramp. Salty defenses don't cramp.
Yeah,
they got some dogs on that defense. Cordell McLean's been amazing this year. DiNardo Henry's been really good, and they're both juniors, so they'll be back. I think they're gonna get it done. It's gonna be a good night in Ridgeland. Let's see who Max had on that one. Let's see. He's got Ridgeland over Scotts Branch. He also had Hardyville over Lakeview. He told me that after they lost 36-7, so kind of blew it on that one, but we won't hold it against him. All right, so we're done with 1A. On to 2A. We've got 2 games there. They're both at home. We got Woodland in Hampton County and Kingstree and Whale Branch. We'll start with Kingstree and Whale Branch. Good draw for Whale Branch. They kind of stumbled through this season, but they beat mostly who they were supposed to beat. Wasn't always pretty. They lost the ones you kind of expect them to. There were a couple, you would have liked to have seen them compete better against Woodland and Phillips Simmons and certainly Bluffton. But they did compete well against Hampton County and Barnwell, who are their peers. And so, Kingstree is a well-coached team. Brian Smith is up there. He's been there for a good while. He's had a lot of success. They started the season really rough. They were 0-4 to start, won a couple, then lost 2 more to Manning and East Clarendon, and then won their last 2, so they're trending upward. Whale Branch played very well in that loss to Barnwell last time out, but Whale Branch's offense has not shown a whole lot outside of Jermon Bowers. They're going to need somebody else to step up and do something else. Something that they haven't really seen a lot of this year. I think it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a really hard fought game. I expect it to be a one possession type game, back and forth throughout. I'll go Homer, go Whale Branch at home. But I think it's a really tough,
It's a
point
toss-up
flip
for
type
me.
game. Who
Yeah,
takes care of the
it's
ball? Who comes
right.
up with that big
Minor
bingo
details in a
turnover?
game like this. It's going to be a tight one. In
Max
my
on Whale
opinion.
Branch, by the way.
Max is on Whale Branch. I'll tell you what, it's been a weird
And he's a
season
noted
for
Whale
Whale Branch.
Branch hater. So I
Yeah.
mean, not hater, but like
I don't know Whale Branch
He's a
hater.
critic.
he's been down on them. Yeah.
He's
Well,
a
I have
critic of
too,
Whale
and
Branch.
I will say that I liked how they played against Barnwell, and I think that's
I did
positive
Hampton.
for me.
They had the
Hampton
lead at
County, Barnwell,
halftime.
they were competitive in, yeah, and then before that, they got some wins at Redstone, Lake Marion. So I think they may have turned around a bit as the season went along after they got waxed by Philip Simmons, which Philip Simmons is a great team, may have team again, depending on how the bracket shapes out. But
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Whale Branch Warriors. I'm gonna side with Max here. I'll tell you, for much of the season, I was not as high on them at all. They were struggling to move the football. The run game was stymied. And after that first one where they got beat 57-0, I know they rebounded in a couple of games. You can't really dwell much on that one right now, but
right.
I will say that this Whale Branch team has learned a couple of things, and Patch is a great coach. He's going to make the most of this opportunity, and I just feel like a lot of these guys are just they're hungry. They want a playoff win. That last year was a tough one to swallow, especially with how well they were playing into the playoffs, and it's just kind of all went awry for them. So, and there's still are guys from that team last year, most notably Bowers, who has grown into a nice role, and he's really starting to find it. He's been carrying the football, taking an electrify, in his passing game. I think that Whale Branch could turn some heads in the playoffs, and I think that if they play as well to the potential that I see from them with this group, I think they can get the better of this first round matchup. And I think a playoff win this year could do wonders for them if they're able to defeat Kingstree. Never an easy game against this Kingstree side, but I think having it at home such a positive factor here. Kingstree, the Blazers, just 4-6 on the year. They have won 2 in a row coming into this one, but it looks like a fairly even game. Other than that, they didn't have a great start either to the year, but I expect this one to be determined by who can sustain possessions, who can keep control of the football and convert on those long extended drives into the red zone. It's going to be a tight one determined by a couple of small plays, which is very common this time of year when you get a couple evenly matched sides heading in the playoffs. I'll take Whale Branch. What's the kicker's name? Who we mentioned that last time?
Ryan Yaramillo Ruiz.
Right.
Brian Yaramillo Ruiz.
I remember him well.
Game winner field goal. He kicks the game winner. Whale Branch wins.
I'm gonna make it a clean sweep, and I'm gonna go Whale Branch as well. Hasn't been the cleanest of years for them, obviously, but it's hard to go against the Warriors at home. And any team that is coached by Jerry Hatcher, in my opinion, has a shot. I'm gonna take them at home over Kingstree, and they'll be moving on.
Yeah, those kids work hard and
Very hard.
And so I just feel like they've been grinding through it this year, and I think they're kind of laying in the grass a little bit right now. So I'm going to take Wild Branch on this one as well. And then in the other 2A game, we got Hampton County at home against Woodland. Definitely a different matchup than Senor Ruiz. Please take these flowers. Definitely a different matchup than we saw a year ago when And honestly, they could have run it back a week later after that game last year, and it might have been totally different. That one night, Hampton had the juice, and Woodland didn't get off the bus, and they smoked them. But I guarantee you, Rob Hanna and his staff are reminding those boys that this is a different team, a different game, and them boys is coming for blood. So, I think this is going to be a dogfight. I think Woodland's better than they were last year, and I think Hampton's a baby step down from where they were a year ago. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Hampton by 10 to 14ish. That's
I
what I'm going.
I like that. I'm gonna go Hampton County as well. Obviously, a big factor. Can they move the football on offense? Which seems like they've had a little bit of trouble doing at times this year. Um, but I really think that they're gonna come in at home in this big game, not overlook Woodland at all.
No.
Might look a little bit differently than last year, as you mentioned, JJ. But I like Hampton to get the job done. I'll say by 10. Good solid 10-point win.
Yep. Wes?
Yeah, I will go. This is not an easy first round game for the Hurricanes, especially Woodland, team that wants
No.
to avoid what happened last year when they came in, because that was a complete beatdown. I don't think it'll be like that again, but I think Hampton County has come to this one slightly favored. And coming into this game, the Hurricanes have had their moments throughout this year. The Barnwell game certainly was a disappointment, but I kind of like where they're headed. They've had time to prepare for this one. I expect them to put up a good performance at home in Barnville. Always a great environment, especially against the playoffs. I think the bell's going to be ringing a couple of times as they do after every touchdown. I think Jalen Singletary is going to have a huge part of this. I think Chris Terry is going to have a nice bounce back game. They need a lot more out of him in the playoffs, and you still got guys anchoring defense like Mandrell Sanders and company. This is still a very talented team, but they've taken a step back so far, but they still have a chance to show that they're right where they were last year. Obviously, you lose a guy like Zion Dobson, some others from last season who you don't have, like Seegers and a few others, but I still think this team's dangerous. And with a two-way classification, which Batesburg-Leesville is a very good team. There are some couple of very good teams in two-way. I still think the path's wide open if they can get rolling at the right time. So I think Hampton wins this one in a fairly close game, and you win this one, you take your chances on who you get next and try to survive every week at this point. So I'm going to go Hurricanes in a tight one at home in Varnell.
Well, I checked in with Max, and he showed me a picture of him and one time hanging out at Hurricanes Sports Cafe, sharing the triple play appetizer. So I think he's going with it. He's going with the cane.
Gotta get my.
They one time. I saw one time in school today. Took a picture with him. I always take a picture with him every time. So we're all on the Canes of Hampton County, but I do think it's going to be a battle. Before we turn the corner to 3A and 4A real quick, we'll talk about some sponsors. The varsity sponsors of Lowco Sports, DDS Web Design, building, hosting, maintaining websites. If you need to get found online so you can do more and think bigger, go to ddshhi.com. Parker Law Group serves legal needs across Colleton, Hampton, and Jasper counties and helps us shine a light on deserving teams and student athletes out on the Lowco frontier. Dr. Ambrose Cole is our official chiropractor. He's at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right. Mind, Body, and Spirit, and Reverence Wrestling Club, official wrestling sponsor of Lowco Sports and presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. We can't wait to see more people going to Reverence Wrestling Club to take their skills on the mat to the next level this year. Those are our MVP sponsors, or our varsity sponsors, rather. Turning the corner, 3A. We're coming for home, baby. 3A, Battery Creek, our only representative. They go to Dillon, which is a unit, and 8-9-1 or whatever, and
8-2,
unit.
according to Max Preps.
8-2.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, they're good. They're real good.
Yeah.
They're ranked 4th in the state right now. Battery Creek's a little beat up without Chase Olson, and I just don't see this one going well. So I'm gonna go with the The Dillon Wildcats, right? Is that what they are?
I
Or
believe.
is that the team? Or is that the team from Friday Night Lights? Or both? Could be both. I think they're the
The
Wildcats.
Dillon Wildcats, yes.
Yep, I was right.
Well, they're both Dillon. They're both Dillon is the name
Yeah,
of the school. But are they both the Dillon Wildcats?
I don't know.
I'm blanking on the
Well, I'm going with Dillon as well for the
Panthers. Dillon Panthers.
exact same reason. I just think that without
Panthers,
Chase
that's right.
Olson,
Yep.
it's a little bit tougher. I like Dillon in this game. I'll say by good couple touchdowns. Battery Creek is going to give it everything that they have. There's no question, but I don't see them pulling this one out.
Nah, they'll probably be running the clock in the second half.
Yeah, I
Sadly.
remember a couple years back when we got the better of Dillon in the first state championship game, and Buford Eagles, man, they had a special night over there. Unfortunately,
That was a crazy game
for the Battery Creek Dolphins this time around. I got the Wildcats.
Yeah. Max.
Buford.
Max sent me a picture of him hanging out with actor Matt Dillon. So it looks like he's going with Wildcats. All right. So if there's people who are getting the inside joke right now, it's a reference to Reginald the Monkey making his picks on the Tony Kornheiser show. My true TK Littles will get it. So La Cheeserie to you if you got it. All right, on to 4A, boys. We've got Buford going to Hartsville, 16 versus the 1. Do we have a Terriers situation here? Or is it, UMBC? We going to do the old UVA Tony Bennett job?
Yeah.
Or is Hartsville going to get her done?
I'm going to go Hartsville as much as it pains me to do. I really, really know that Buford is a lot better than what they've shown this year, and obviously injuries had a lot to do with that. I actually called one of their 2 wins when they went up against Battery Creek all the way back in early September. I guess that was mid-September. But just the way things have shook out for Buford this year, it's been a little bit of inconsistent play, and you're not really sure who's going to be able to play. The availability of guys has been tough on them, and they've been down a bit. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to get up for this one against Hartsville. I'm going to go with Hartsville by at least a few touchdowns.
They say the best ability is availability, and unfortunately for Buford, they have not shown that through most of the year. They've been banged up throughout, and you hope that they have enough to put together a fight at least against Hartsville. And Tamari Bonds, he knows how to keep his team, in striking distance in these games. He has been terrific over the years, helped lead him to a state championship. So certainly has a great legacy here at Buford, but unfortunately, just isn't much help there. We were all high on what Buford could do this year, but the injury bug has plagued them the wrong way this season, and so now when you're heading into this one, and you just hope that they're able to survive and make this semi-competitive, and if they do in the first half, you never know, just because of how well Bryce Laverne is coached, and you still have players like there's a couple that have been in this program. Will Kai is a big example.
Oh, yeah.
Others. I love watching him play, and they still have some guys defensively who can make it tough, but Hartsville is on another class right now. They've had quite the year, and it's going to be some kind of special effort for Buford if they want to come away with the 16 over the 1 victory in this playoff setup. So I'm going to go Hartsville by about 20 or so. I think they pull away as it gets late in the second half. So give me the Red Foxes over the Eagles.
Can we all agree that Samari Bonds is amazing?
Oh, there's no question about
no
it.
doubt about that.
Fun
He
to
is
watch.
he and
We'll get
that
to watch
team
him basketball
is
season one more time too, so that'll be
it's
fun.
We do indeed.
it's
I'm
hard to
excited for that
pick
team as
against
well.
them.
Give me a hug.
That's true. Yeah, I want to believe that Buford can hang in this game. I'm trying to convince myself of it, but man, Hartsville's a unit. They're
Yeah.
really tough.
They are.
Buford has not really been able to stop the run especially well, and they always run it really well. So, I think I'll take Hartsville. But you know who's not? I just got a video from Max, and he was pushing Bryce Librand in the bed race at the Buford Water Festival. He's clearly got ties to the Eagles. He's taking Buford for the upset.
Wow. Okay.
Max is feeling
Love it.
spicy tonight. Buford over Hartsville. So then we've got Hilton Head home for the first time since 2019 in the playoffs. The Nest going to be rocking, but they got a really tough Crestwood team coming in. This is a team that is battle tested and has played a really tough schedule this year. This is borderline nightmare draw for Hilton Head. I'm not saying they can't win it. Crestwood's a 5-5 team. They're beatable. But when you looked at the other teams that they might draw, it was like, oh God, they got Crestwood out of that bunch. So that's kind of scary. But I do think Hilton Head's got enough. I think they've shown us enough at this point. They've beaten enough different types of teams and done it enough different ways that I'm pretty convinced that this is a really well-rounded football team, and I think they're going to get it done at home on Friday night and get a shot at South Florence most likely, which is going to be a really tough test, but one that would be a big statement if they could pull it off.
I completely agree, JJ. I've seen Hilton Head a few times this year, called two of their games against May River and then Bluffton, of course, and then saw them earlier on in the season, moonlighting for you guys against Aiken. This is the best Hilton Head team, and I've said it multiple times. It's the best Hilton Head team I've seen in a decade.
Mhm.
And talking to BJ after the game last week against Bluffton, he said this is the most fun that he's had in 19 years of coaching with this team. We've been wondering when all of the pieces would just fit as tightly as they could. This is that team. This team, this Hilton Head
Really is.
team, and I've heard this quote from BJ over the last few years
Really is.
that they're just kind of laying in the weeds. This team isn't laying in the weeds anymore.
Not anymore.
This team is for real, and they are dangerous. And I think they're going to go into this game at home having the best year that they've had again in quite some time. First home playoff game in several years now. I think they're going to go in and they're going to get the job done, and they're going to get the job done well. They're going to beat Crestwood tomorrow night, and they're going to move on. As you said, they'll probably take on South Florence, right?
Yep, looks likely.
Taking the Seahawks.
Most
All right.
likely.
Chase
unless
Olsen
they
also taking the Seahawks.
Man, this
Battery
is
Creek quarterback.
all
Wes?
right. Yeah. I remember covering him as well. So yeah, but this is something that you would see for a while, and you kind of didn't expect that you're, especially from the pattern of what we've seen the last couple of seasons. They were in some games last year, could not find to get done, but it's not the right way this time around for BJ Payne's Seahawks, and I totally agree. This has been one of the most fun teams I've ever seen play Hilton and I. It's been a while since I've seen that, but since I've said that, but Troy Timko has carried over all that we saw from him these last couple of seasons, and
He was
has done even
phenomenal
more. But then
against
you bring in
Bluffton.
a guy like Zarnecki, just a sophomore, and man, you were on the call, and I remember listening to it on the drive back when I was getting ready to set up the Friday night live show, Pigskin Live, and man, you just were gloating and praising him left and right about his skills out there on the field. And man, it is a sight to behold when he gets the ball in his hands. And man, I even thought the way he plays defense. He was flying when I was out there in that first half. I mean, and especially making contributions as well. He has done it all. He's the rock solid guy on this team. And you remember, they do this without Connor Wendell. He's been hurt. And so you
That's
just
really
see
impressive.
the way the younger guys in the class have stepped up. And now they have turned into one of the better defensive units in the state of South Carolina, in my opinion. Right now, of course, ranked in the final poll in the top 10 deserved, but that really doesn't matter. What matters is how well they're playing, how well they're trending. Is going to be up against playing. That's like he Spangler have been tremendous. Spangler anchoring that pass defense, especially these last few weeks. Love what I have been seeing from him and a few other guys as well stepped up. Strong collective group in the defense, and BJ Payne can't be much proud of what this group has done, especially as it went along, because I think that we saw even with the losses to James Island and the loss of Bishop, that this defense was elite and they were playing well against some quality teams, and now you're starting to see that they have it. They have the spark in them to pull off this one. I think that they could give, if they do get it done on Friday night, I think they're gonna give a challenge to whoever they face if it is South Lawrence on the road, based on how well this defense is playing right now. So it's going to be one heck of a game. And that's a tough draw. That is not an easy draw by any means. This is a team we have seen a lot past, especially in that crazy game 2 years ago where Buford knocked them off and they came from behind to win it. Crestwood, they're never easy to take down when they travel on the road.
Yeah, they're tough.
I just love the way this Hilton is playing off the feet on them. And that running they just really control the clock well. When they get ahead, they do just great fundamental blocking, and the run game has been as better than anyone in Lowco, and certainly one of the better operating off to forehand when they're able to play from the style that they like. They play when they're ahead, and they pound the ground game, and they let the blockers open holes. And man, Timko with that patience to spot those holes and just dart through them and break tackles. Then you have Zarnecki.
I love the way he follows
have some other guys
his
like
block.
Appy.
I will ask this question.
It's just
you just mentioned Troy Timko, his availability for this game.
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean, we had him on the show.
Late
we
in
had
the
him on the show
fourth.
Monday, and he said,
I did listen
he
to
was
that.
still hurting a little bit, but that he felt confident he would be ready to go. The biggest thing is if they told him he can go on Friday, that means it's not at risk of further injury.
Right.
It's a pain tolerance thing, and if it's a pain tolerance thing, that dude ain't coming out.
Yeah, he's going.
He's going to stay in there. Here's a question for you: Hilton Head offensive line better than May Rivers? Yes, for me. A little bit better. May Rivers is very good, and they're very good in that scheme in particular. But Hilton Head's, one reason why May River might not throw it that much, maybe they're not that good at pass block. It's something we haven't really discussed, but maybe that's why. They can't keep a clean pocket. So Hilton Head's offensive line is very good at both pass blocking and run blocking, and they're strong all the way across. Better than I realized. Seeing them from up top, you're like, whoa. They clear a path. So we're all on Hilton Head, and bro, we already talked about it. 36-7. We're all on Hilton Head, and so is Max. He sent me a picture of him posing for a photo as a small child with BJ Payne, the WWE wrestler. So he's on the Seahawks. And then our final game of the night, the granddaddy of them all, Battle for the Bluff Part 2. We got the Bobcats trying to bounce back off the crushing loss to Hilton Head last week. I mean, they were fired up for it, and the balloon just got popped early on.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
Granted, that was a Bluffton team that was not at full strength, and we're told Cordell Holly is prepared to play. So much like Temco, they're saying he's good to go. So I think he's going to be good to go. We were all on the Jags, Ridgeland. You'll have to go back and listen to us talk about it, but we all picked the Jags. We got the Jags. But anyway, Bluffton, we expect to have Holly back. That makes them a completely different team on offense. We saw
Yeah.
that. If they don't have Holly, then they're probably going to see a pretty similar scheme to what they saw last week, and it's not going to go very well, I don't think. Although Carnell kind of got over on them a little bit, but I think Holly had a lot to do with that. He softened up the middle of that defense really good. So, I really think if May River had won that game, I would probably be going, man, I don't know. I think I'm probably on Bluffton because it's so evenly matched, and it's hard to imagine the same team winning both meetings. But then on top of that, I also feel like May River's just in a better position right now. They got that week off. They got healthy if they had any little dings. On the other hand, May River does what May River does.
Yeah.
It's not like they're really, going to throw in a bunch of new wrinkles. So what do they do to adjust? We had a question earlier from our friend, and I saved it because we weren't talking about the game at the time. Can the Sharks connect on a few deep shots this week? Would you switch it up or stick to the script? That's a hard one because the script didn't not work. Like they
Right.
racked up a bunch of rushing yards. They moved the ball. And if they don't mishandle the snap at the end, they maybe win that game,
Right.
But on the other hand, I think you got to hit a couple passes. You got to hit a couple
You do.
passes to
You
win
do.
this game.
I am so glad in retrospect and hindsight that we talked about this game last, because knowing what I know now, throughout the week I went back and forth and thinking, I really think I like May River for the matchup here tomorrow for the playoffs. Wasn't sure about Holly. Knowing what I know about Bluffton and the fact that they've got some guys on the outside and what Aiden McCarthy has done the majority of this season.
He's flipping.
Last week, they got trounced.
They did.
And I was stunned at that result. And I heard Coach Gregory talk to the team after the game. Obviously, I
I
didn't
bet it
interview
wasn't
him.
pleasant.
Well, he was actually upbeat. And
Good.
that's kind of how I took it. And he said, this doesn't have to define us.
Right.
And we got to be
Yeah.
ready for
Yeah.
our next game. And
Yeah, he was modeling
they
the
had
behavior
said
he wanted to see from them. Turn
they
the
had
page.
said certainly that May River win took more out of them, I think, than they expected.
I think it did too.
Leading into the
Yeah,
Hilton
no,
Head
no
game.
doubt.
They were beat up.
And JJ said it right about 60 seconds ago. I'm flipping. I'm going to go with the Bobcats in this game. Yeah, it's a home game for them, and I knew that going in. I just think that they have just a little bit too much, with the fact that Holly may or may not play. They still have guys that can get the job done. I'm thinking back to what Warren did and the 3 plays that he made early on in that game. One, was
Yeah.
called back. Daniel and I were talking about it.
Right.
Those might have been the 3 best plays that we saw all year, and they happened within about a 30 to 90-second span.
Right. It was crazy.
This team is so talented, and I know I was really high, extremely high on May River this year. And they definitely have a chance, but they do what they do, and that's another reason why I was like, they do what they do, and Bluffton can do what Bluffton does. And I think if that holds true,
Yeah.
Bluffton has turned out to be unlike what I thought, preseason wise. Bluffton turns out to be a little bit better. So I think that we are going to see some more fireworks in this matchup, and I'm going to take Bluffton to knock off May River. I've done the good old
Okay.
switcheroo. I'm going with
Yeah,
the
you did.
Bobcats at home.
Bait and switch. Wesley, our
Ooh,
moral
bait and
compass.
switch.
Who
You're
you
going
got?
the other way in this matchup. Yeah, no, this once again looking years. And it's a different kind of landscape when you look at it compared to what it was 2 weeks ago. Now, May
It
River
is.
is the team that's rested. They got the week off. Bluffton has been battling injuries. They've been battling just the fatigue at this point, having to play a really good Hilton team and could not even be close to matching the effort that Hilton had showed out there. But I think a loss does something to it. I think it will for Bluffton this week. I think having the time to think it over, and you still have a very explosive offense with McCarthy at the helm, and I think you really go to that game breaker, and that's Carnell Warren, who can find a way to rise up, make some big catches, and be that go-to deep threat down the field, or just find a way to get the ball in his hand because he's explosive out there, and he's the difference that you need to see if you're Bluffton. And Holly coming back, if Holly's at 100% in this game, or at least a decent percentage, he will be relied upon often. He has been the guy that has carried Bluffton to this point. You got to go with the guys that brought you here, and this Bluffton team has been anchored by a really strong run game that has evolved into a nice complement to that passing attack. And I do agree that Bluffton is the offense is looking pretty strong. They, especially despite what happened last week, they produce a little more than what May River can. They can the passing game is a big plus. May River, on the other hand, they've had a week off. They have had time to kind of think about it and dwell on it, and that sometimes that can be beneficial for a team. They were right there against Bluffton. If
They were.
certainly Bobcats defense came up big at the end, but I kind of think that it's going to be such another tightly contested game down the stretch. And May River, can they find a way to reverse the script? Can they take care of the football, and can they get that solid run game, which has been the staple of that team? Maybe Tanner Macy will throw it. Maybe they've held cards to the vest. Maybe he'll throw a little bit more in this game. It's possible. But May River is a very talented team. The defense is continuing to play lights out. I will say, credit Bluffton for what they did. How they came down after losing Holly, still drove down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal. That shows a lot of resilience. Now they get the benefit of having a home fans, which is well earned. They got the higher seed, and they're going to bring it. But
Yeah.
it's going to be great representation on both sides. You better get there early because the parking lot is probably going to fill up very fast over there at the Bluffton Den. But I mean, this is fun.
And it's hard to park anywhere near there anyway.
Right. No, and especially here now. You're yeah. Well, there's ample parking, but it's going to be a packed den on
Yeah, it's
Friday
just not
night.
close to the stadium. There's plenty of parking. It's just not close to the stadium.
It's a decently long walk.
Mhm.
But
It's a nice little
Bluffton
stroll,
is
though.
looking every bit. Saquon to the end zone.
Yep.
I will say that this Bluffton team has the firepower on offense to, I don't say score at will, but to score anywhere on the field. This Bluffton offense has that electricity and firepower that you got to watch out for mirror. But this sharp defense has been capable of making big plays.
Yes, they have.
Really started off the season on a heater. I guess they cooled down a bit, but you got to remember that they did beat Bishop England. Hilton Head was a tight one, but they lost to them. So which May River team do we get? And can they hold the line defensively and limit the big plays? And if they can do that and force turnover too, I think they got this one back. I do think that Bluffton has a better opportunity than I originally thought. Just it's sometimes it gets to you when you're thinking about what happened in a prior game.
Yeah. What have
That
you done
offense
for
is,
me lately?
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just goes back to the edge. It's so hard to beat a team twice in a row when these groups are so evenly matched. These sides are, and I kind of think May River coming into this game is going to prove a little bit more and get that solid ground game going and provide the defensive intensity that they need. I just look back to the Frankfurt game, how dominant they were. Obviously, different opponent back then, but I am bought in on what Coach Bonneville is doing. This has been a multi-year,
Yeah.
Progression for May River, and we saw it starting off not this year, but the previous year. I remember coming over there in the summer and just seeing what Coach Bonneville was doing, how he was getting these players bought in, and now year two, you're starting to see some really important and impressive strides to what the product is now. You played a great game. You lost to Bluffton by 3. You left some things on the table. I do not think May River is going to do that again. I think the Sharks are going to step up in a big game, just like we saw what they did at Bishop England. They didn't do it at Hilton Head, but this is a team that will thrive off a new opportunity, a new chance to beat their big rivals from a couple miles down, or it seems really a stone's throw down.
Yeah.
It's such a
Yeah,
close
just a few
distance
miles
between
down the
these two
road.
teams. Yeah, but I like the way this defense has fought this year. They have so many different guys. Sprinkle's been great. Hamilton, Bostwick, so many different players who can. A ton of seniors on this group who have been around this Bonneville system for a while and know how to get the job done and make it difficult for the opposing offense. Bluffton is going to have to get back to the drawing board and find some things. They were stymied by what Hilton Head did. I think May River may not be as talented as Hilton Head's defense, but they're still a very solid group, and still haven't seen enough recently from Bluffton that makes me think they're going to turn it around a week later. I think May River comes to this one more rested. I think they have more arms proverbially available for them. And I like the style that they play. It lends itself well to winning playoff football games. I think they stopped Bluffton enough that they're able to get it done in a close contest decided by, I'll say, May River by 4. May River by 4.
May River by 4.
Yeah,
And I'll take Bluffton by 3. I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring than what we saw 2 weeks ago. I'll say 30-27. 30-27 Bobcats.
Yeah, there could be a lot of field goals involved in that number, or missed extra points, I guess.
Yeah.
But going for 2s or something. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sticking on the Sharks. And as far as Max, will we have a 3-on-1 or a 2-on-2? Max
All right, what do you got?
has sent me a photo of another family photo. This one is him and the family at Universal Studios next to the big Jaws hanging out of the water.
Ooh.
So it looks like he's going with the Sharks in the den. Oh, turnabout is fair play. Yeah.
Right.
You know, just seeing Bluffton in person last week and the way they couldn't stop the Hilton Head run game to save their life, I worry for their defense against that May River rushing attack because they're going to keep pounding it at you. And I also think this is the week. This is the week that they just gotta air it out a few times. And if you don't hit it, you don't hit it. But I think they got to go downfield, and I think they know that. So I think we're going to see it. Probably when you least expect it. So I do think they got to hit a couple. They got to hit a
There's
couple.
no doubt about that.
No,
No doubt.
absolutely.
Will
So
they?
I'll take May River. We're on May River collectively, although Marcus is on the Bobcats. And that, my friends, is it. That's all the games. So we have prepared you well for the first week of the high school league
Yeah,
playoffs
and
and
and,
the
and hey,
semifinals of SCISA.
you enjoy it every week from now on, because now the good
Yeah,
thing is we're guaranteed at least one more week because Bluffton and May
correct.
River
It can't
play each
end
other.
this week.
So right.
Yeah, that's nice to know.
Yep.
Even if everything goes completely sideways, somebody gets through. So that's a good deal.
Yep.
But for some, it's now wrestling and basketball season. So get after it. Loco Booster Club, Court Lifestyle Pros, Daniel and Debbie Court, your friends and mine. Charter One Realty, they want to bring you home to Hilton Head Island. Also, your friends and mine at Eagle Creations. Bill and Mandy Arnold have
See
promotional
'em.
items, custom apparel, custom gifts, all kinds of stuff out on Argent Boulevard. Go check them out, see what they can do for you. Jay's Barbershop, my friend, yours too, Wes, Marcus.
Yep.
I'm sure everybody's a friend at Jay's
Everyone
Barbershop,
loves Jay's.
especially if the Rebels are winning, and they'll make your hair look good over at Jay's Barbershop downtown Ridgeland. Barefoot Floor Care, the Low Country, make those floors look good. They'll get them so clean, your feet will thank you. Hudson's Seafood House on the docks makes that seafood look so delicious. I could go for a po'
Just
boy
was there
right
the
now.
other day.
Andrew's Way.
What did
They're
I
also
get the other day?
presenting sponsor of Under the Bus,
I did
and
get oh boy. It
and
was
of course, you got a po' boy. Did you get
Yeah.
Andrew's Way?
the other day. No.
Oh, okay. I'm told that's the way.
Hmm.
But Hurricane Sports Cafe, Max at one time hanging out there, having lunch and sending us pictures for his pics. No, great place if you're out in Hampton and you're hungry or thirsty, go check them out and tell them we said hi. Parting thoughts, gentlemen, before we float off into sleep and wake up in Friday.
How about
Yeah.
the Cleveland Cavaliers?
They were
13
Yeah,
and
13.
oh
No,
How about
my
Bob Stevens
goodness.
throwing them under the bus last night because they're winning at the wrong time of year? They should be doing this in June.
you can't. Hey, you're not going to apologize if you're still unbeaten. I mean, that's the goal, to win as many as you can. So, kind of coming out of nowhere. Although I'm not as schooled in terms of the NBA side of things, but uh, I am quite impressed to see what Cleveland is doing, especially how hard it is in that league, where there's so many solid teams you go up against in a league like the NBA. By the way, I have something kind of going off of that. Have you seen the courts for the in-season tournament? They're calling it the NBA Cup, and there's some wild courts. I saw the Celtics. It was like all green.
I haven't seen
like
those
all,
yet for this year.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm not a big fan of the in-season tournament. I don't know.
It's weird.
It's a gimmick
Gimmicky.
that they've used to try to, it's like kind of like a soccer tournament, kind of like they do in soccer, where you compete
Yeah.
in tournaments midway through the year, and it's I don't know. But for basketball, I just don't see it as something that's necessary. I mean, I understand why, the reason to try to be unique and generate more respect. I don't know, something like that is really, that much of a thing I would draw myself to watch an in-season tournament where, I mean, there isn't really much incentive to win. Obviously, the games are still regular season. They count for the regular season except the championship game, which does not count for the regular season, in Vegas. But yeah, it's just a fun gimmick, but that's pretty much all it is. The NBA trying to be creative, which I will give credit. They've done some good things in terms of building their sport throughout the years. But I'm just not too intrigued of the in season tournament idea. It's a little far fetched for American sports. You just don't really see something like that when you're where the real goal is just to win the thing in June in that case, and I'm
Right.
just not as excited about something like that. But hey, if it gets some more fans involved, and especially for those teams, and be surprised. I think Vegas has they have a football team now. They have a hockey team, and a baseball team. I'd be surprised if they get the NBA team at some point. Everyone wants to go there now. It's crazy.
It's so true.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got lost in a text. Coach Gearhart wanted to know how the Canes did.
No, you're
Wes is the moral compass we all deserve on our best day. Believe that. believe that. Marcus, you got it. You brought up the Cavs.
I
right?
brought up the Cavs
Yeah.
off to that great start at 13 and
Wes.
0.
Sorry if I.
Wes, you got one? Beyond the NBA?
Yeah, I was going off. I was going, but I do
Yeah,
have
I know.
another. I was just talking a little bit
Yeah, I
about
know.
that, but
You're
you
good.
know, bringing it back to the Low Country and about this football season, just as a Hilton Head alum, how excited I am for tomorrow. I mean, it's just it's been 5 years. The last time we've had a home playoff game, it was against Wilson, and we were beaten pretty badly in that one. Give credit to Hilton Head for getting a playoff spot that year and getting a home game. What was a weird four. It was back then. It was just four teams. It was Hilton Head, Bluffton, I believe Beaufort, and Colleton. There were like four teams in the region, which was
Yeah, that sounds
very
right.
different than what it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were weird times. That was the year where Beaufort went 0-5 and won the region title. But anyway, talking about this Hilton Head team and just how special it's been. Like I said, I didn't really see it coming. I knew Tipko was coming back. He's obviously a stud, but Zernecki was kind of an unknown to me. I wasn't sure about who they would have at quarterback. Renishevsky, I didn't hear
Right. We
know
didn't
much about him. Obviously, now we're starting to see the ceiling of what he can do, and even more higher ceiling if he can produce a victory for this team in the playoffs. I'm sold on him, and I'm sold by this defense. I think it really showed what was capable of this team when they held James. Like obviously they weren't able to score, and they were. I think Renishevsky was hurt for a good stretch early in that year, so that was a big.
Yeah, he was
factor,
hurt for a couple games, and then
yeah. It just really shows the coaching of BJ Payne to get what he has gotten from this team and everyone buying together defensively to produce a year like this. And I look back to that 2015 team that we mentioned when we had some guys like Morrow and Hamilton and Haggerty, and that was a pretty solid team back in the day, almost 10 years ago. But I will say that squad that we have seen this year has. I love how you brought in the BJ Payne quote of, "This is the most fun I have had coaching," and I say that.
Yeah.
With all the
amazing
players that he has brought in, like you look at starting, of course, Puna Ford, but then Galen Sneed, and so Bryce Singleton, so many others. Bryce Singleton, another guy.
Yeah, Singleton and Tyler Hamilton.
He was tremendous as well. Yeah, Perry may have been the year before. I don't remember if he was still there then, but I do remember that Bryce was a dude, and he was a great basketball player as well. I really enjoyed watching him. But yeah, it's been cool to see this Hilton Head team return to a group that is continuing to go deep in the playoffs. It has been a while. And it's just I haven't seen many home playoff games. I didn't go to the last. I think it was somewhere else. I think I was held at Christian Academy, and not held the title last time they were in the playoffs at home. The year before that, I was in college with my freshman year when we made it the last time for home playoff games. So it's been a very long time, and it's just really awesome to see this team perform at the level they have. So it's I just reminds me of that I don't know do what they did, but that Hilton Christian baseball team last year with G.W. Wilkerson and how special that team was. I kind of feel similar vibes. Obviously, it's a much stiffer road to get to where they did. You never know if they can get the road win against South Florida, but West Side's gonna. Yeah, there's some solid 4A teams that is going to make it very tough for anyone to get past. But even road. So, it's no matter what happens the rest of the way. I'm talking about West Side and Daniel and South Point. A couple really talented squads. And Bruce Tate, you got Hartville, South Florence.
I think the West Side's going to roll everybody.
I could see them hanging in that game. What, sorry?
I think West Side's going to roll everybody. They're good.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I said no matter what happens from here, season to remember for BJ Payne and his
Heck
coaching
yeah.
staff. They've done a great
No
job
doubt
with
about
that.
And it doesn't stop here. I mean, they lose Timko and they lose a
It
couple
doesn't.
guys on that offensive line and a couple guys on defense, but they return a lot. And that middle school team went undefeated this year, so they got some coming up the pipeline, and they're going to be
Next
pretty
man
good
up.
for a few years. Yeah, Reniszewski and Zarnecki for the next 2 years is going to be fun.
Yep.
So yeah,
Is it
exciting time to be a Seahawk, Wes. Good
Yeah.
times. I have no
yeah.
alma maters here. I have no ties. So no no dogs in the hunt. But I guess my
Me.
kids, their schools become my schools. And the one
True.
and Hardyville obviously is the Ville. That's my love right now. So
Gonna be a fun
Ville.
day
that's my
locally
fam.
for us tomorrow.
Heck yeah. Let's get some rest before
Let's do it.
before we roll up.
Mm.
I think the West Side rolls highway, byway, gotta be a better way. Gonna be a baller, shot collar, 20-inch rim on the Impala. Yeah, I got that one, Libs. I picked up on that one.
Heck yeah.
And with that, let's call it a night, boys. Thanks so much for hanging out. It was fun talking with you guys as always. Thanks to all of our sponsors,
Yes, indeed.
especially Mickelson Law Firm, the OGs, and our All Stars. Thanks to all of our friends who comment and contribute, especially the Libs. It just wouldn't be the same without you in the comments. buddy.
Everything's better with
And
Kevin.
thanks to all of you. Show up to listen or watch. We'll see you again tomorrow night. I guess the plan is roll out at 9:30, but we'll kind of play it by ear depending on if
Yep.
one of us has a blowout. We'll get home and fire up the show. If they're all close, then we'll have to figure it out. But
Yeah.
we'll see how it all plays out tomorrow night on Loco Friday night, playoff style, and we'll see you on Loco Pigskin Live tomorrow night with all the scores and analysis you can ask for.
Indeed.
So for Marcus Walsh, Wes Kerr, and Max Araj, who's off, vacationing with people related to high school football, apparently. We will see you next time. Till then, go Loco.